Okay, let's see. Are we live? Yes, we are live. Awesome. Okay, welcome everybody. Nintendon't rolls on. We go from the PCFX to the PC. It's time for a little good old retro DOS. Hey everybody. I am HipolitoPichardo. Thanks again, Crux, for the great tour of the FX console. That was pretty awesome. Really educational to see a system Japanese only, never had seen before, so that was cool. So I'm a pretty niche streamer for those of you who don't know me. I really just stream exclusively DOS games, and more specifically DOS adventure games, and more specific than that, all of them. I'm on a challenge to play all of them. That's not, however, what we're going to be playing today. Instead, I'm going to take advantage of the great opportunity that Godi has afforded me and all the great retro streamers. So thank you again, Godi. To look at really my favorite RPG game ever. And it's a game I just wanted to showcase for those of you who don't know it. It's called Betrayal at Kondor. Yeah, I can get very specific, Austin, absolutely. So you guys can do me a favor and just quickly take that straw poll. Just want to get a sense of the room, who is familiar with the game, who's played it. Have you never heard of it before? Maybe you've heard of it and have never played it. This is a game that was from 1993, you can see down here, developed by Dynamics, published by Sierra. Let's take a look at those straw poll results coming on in. And one of the things I really like about it, in fact, is it's in a very immersive game. The story is pretty awesome. In fact, it's actually adapted by a series of novels, the Rift War novels by Raymond Feist, as you may have seen there. And looks like, yeah, we got a good mix between looks like people that have never heard of it, first time seeing it, and those have heard of it. Yeah, it looks like okay, and only a few that have played it so far. So that's great. I'm really happy to get the opportunity to do a little bit of a showcase of this game for you guys. Yeah, it's not an adventure game, but I think the things that appeal to me, again, are the story is really cool, and also even the battles are a little bit more sophisticated, I think, than probably most standard RPGs. But I'll probably let a RPG expert like Xenic Reverie or someone really weigh in on it. So anyway, with all of that said, let's get the game underway. Start a new game. Actually, you can see here, by the way, in this contents. The game is divided up into 9 different chapters. This is a very long game, but that's what makes it cool. There's a lot that happens, and truth be told, I've never actually completed this before. I think the most I've gotten to is maybe chapter 4. I'll always essentially play it for a few months, then drop off, and then I pick it up again a few years later, and I start all over again. So while I'm generally familiar with the first few chapters, I've never actually made it all the way to the end. So anyway, let's get going here. Chapter 1, Into a Dark Night. Blood-soaked rags collected at the boy's feet. One by one, he tended the wincing soldier's purple wounds, stitched, salved, bandaged, did what little he could in the leaping golden halo of firelight. Fortunately for his roadside patient, he could do more than most. Finger slick with alum ointment, he worked fervently to tie off a catgut cord, then brushed the injury with a light touch that to the untrained eye would seem only a friendly pat. Others would recognize the telltale hand gesture as a magical ward against infection. Done, Owen sighed, wiping his hand in a rust-colored cloth. No guarantees, though. The stitches may hold all the way to Lamont, and then again, push too hard and you could be bleeding like a stuck pig on Midsummers. You did fine, Senor Locklear replied, smiling approval before rolling down his sleeve. It'll scar, but it's good for a noble's reputation. Lets the kingdom folk know he isn't resting on his laurels, and it impresses the ladies. I'll be sure to look you up in T-Burn if I ever need stitching up again. The boy accepted the compliment with a humble nod while he packaged away the rest of his medical supplies. His thoughts focused instead on a third man, who slumped in the shadows across from them. Despite the manacles that bound the stranger's hands and the distance that separated them, the boy felt dreadfully exposed, his avenues of escape limited should Locklear's elven-looking prisoner decide to liberate himself. What did he do? Owen whispered, jerking his head towards the man. Gorath? Let's just say that he had the disadvantage of being at the wrong place at the wrong time, Locklear said cautiously. He snatched a greenish apple out of his knapsack, offering one to Owen. I have to take him to Kondor. Did he kill someone? Owen asked. No. He attacked you. The senor wiped apple juice from his mouth, shook his head. No, not exactly. Well, who cut you up then? Before Locklear could reply, Gorath leapt forward, his chains writhing between his wrists like metallic vipers. Get out from underfoot, Owen! Assassin in the camp! Do not struggle so, Haseth. I wish to keep you alive. But be glad I do not. The goddess of death will show you greater mercy. Okay, and there we go. So that's the game introduction. This is again, as I say, a very detailed, enriched, and engrossing game. You can see it's actually from a first-person perspective. This is like an open-world RPG coming in 1993, and it's not just like tile. I mean, in a way, it's tile-based, but you can move in. Like you can see, I'm doing a 360 just right now, turning all around. I mean, this is pretty open world. So for 1993, this was kind of a big deal. At least I like to think so. Some of you guys who are better game historians may be able to, please feel free to add some additional context to the game. So this is the guy, the assassin Haseth, who we just killed. You can see we have the three party members. This is Senor Locklear. This is Owen, the boy who just sort of healed his wounds, and then this is the sort of elven guy who's prisoner, but is being transported. So anyway, you can search dead bodies. So this thing right here are rations, food, which you of course have to consume. The game is actually on a day to night. As you move, time sort of ticks away, and we'll see that in a moment. The game actually, there's like sunsets. It gets gradually darker, and then you can actually travel through the night. It's really cool. Laying the brown parcel aside, Locklear carefully undid the short length of string that bound the package. Although standard rations generally contained salted sweetmeats, hard rolls, sliced apples, and strawberry tarts, he was eager to get at whatever food was inside. And one of the things you'll find, I mean, obviously we're, just in a couple hours, we're only going to see a very small segment of the game, but one of the other cool things here is that we can also look. We can decide to give. Do I want to give all 4 rations to Locklear? There's the share with the party feature that sort of evenly distributes any item among the party. Some rations are actually poisoned, which is pretty neat. If you consume poisoned rations, you can you get poisoned, and your health will go down. Yeah, the combat system. We'll see combat in a few moments. The combat system is pretty neat. That's one of the things that I think does set the this RPG sort of apart from a lot of others. Again, at least of the time. The other thing is you'll see here there are roads. Like this is this sort of I don't know, bluish gray pathway, and then there's that in the distance there you can kind of make out the sort of brown. That's kind of like the main highway. From the map we can sort of get an overhead look of where we are. And then there's also sort of a super map, a map of really the game world. So you can see these little orange dots with the dark orange circles. Those are kind of like villages or towns. And then the ones in white with the blue circles are actually cities where you can do a little bit more there. But it's actually a fairly large game world. And you can actually travel. The other neat thing is you can actually travel in this view, which sometimes can be helpful, especially if you've already sort of traversed an area and you're just more interested in sort of doubling back over it, but you're not, obviously in the first person view, you can actually see physical objects like here. The ashes were cold. Wiping the grime off his hands, Locklear shook his head. Someone or something obviously set up camp here, but it's hard to say just when. So this is the first of, there are actually many chests in the game world. Locklear gritted his teeth. While they had agreed the box should be opened, he was privately concerned the previous user may have left behind an unpleasant surprise. And what we find here is some money, some silver royals. Oh, you have the CD. Nice, awesome. There's cool too that even the chests have variety. Some of them are just open straight up like this, or very simple. Others are kind of trapped. And you can obviously take on damage if you do open them up. And still others are actually like locked. Well, they could be straight up locked and you have to find a key or like pick them with lock picks. And then still, there are also puzzle chests actually, which you have to kind of solve like word riddles to open them up, which is pretty neat. And they kind of weave it into sort of the game's folklore. So the mission in chapter 1 here are actually our objective is to get down here to Kondor. This is, I think, the capital. I'm not an expert on the game lore, but I think this is the capital city. And once we do make it there, we kind of find out a lot more information about what is exactly going on, who are the enemies, and what kind of it really more tees up the rest of the game. That said, we probably, within this first couple hours, I don't know if we're going to make it down there, but we'll see. There's a bunch of other stuff to do, and you can kind of do it in at different times, which is also really neat too. It's not, even though you get quests at certain times, the game is by no means linear at all, which is neat. Gorath seemed distant. Though the Moredhell warrior didn't appear grieved about killing the assassin that had followed them from the Northlands, his eye had a baleful look in them that seemed something between hatred and rage. Several times he glanced back at the corpse that lay behind them in the dust, his thoughts unguessable from his expression. Do you wish to bury him? We could do that. It is not our way. I simply am somewhat disturbed that he should come after me. He was a kinsman. There are other things that trouble me as well. Delcan's assistants are slow, but not altogether stupid. Another like Haseth, and you'll have only my corpse to drag before your Prince Ahutha. Sorry, you don't get off that easy. As long as you are under my command, you are forbidden to die, Moredhell. That's kind of like the name of this sort of elvish warriors. I've gone too far too much trouble keeping you alive to bury you now. It's time we took the chains off of you. It'll be far easier for you to defend yourself if your hands are free to swing a sword again. You're not just going to set him free, are you? I thought you said he was your prisoner. He is my prisoner, Owen, but the circumstances are terribly complicated. Even if he chose to sneak off, he'd be lucky to make it to the next town alive. This is the third such assassin we've run into since we left the Northlands, and I've a feeling that more will be waiting for us. He will be much safer with me, and I with him. Hey, how's it going, Zenek? Yeah, Zenek, I was just asking earlier, because you're sort of the console RPG sort of master or expert, probably you know a lot about PC RPGs as well. You think this is an adventure game? Oh, it's definitely an RPG. So there are definitely adventure elements into it, which is probably why it appeals to me so much. But yeah, I was wondering, Zenek, if you could tell us just from like a historical perspective, when this game came out in '93, for it to be sort of open world and basically non-linear. I mean, was this among the first games? That's kind of my sort of open question. One of the first open world non-linear RPG games. As the boy would be if he were to whisper the wrong word in the wrong ear, he could easily be the death of us. Me? Who am I going to talk to? I'm not even heading in the same direction. It wouldn't be a matter of who you talk to, Owen. There will be ears listening for word of a Moredhell, traveling with a noble. Damnation! I should have thought about this when you entered camp. For the time being, you're my squire. Once we arrive safely at the palace, you'll be free to go your own way. But I have pressing business in Tyburn. This is not a subject of debate. We must get to Kondor. My mission is of critical importance, and I don't have time to improvise an easy solution. The only other possible option would be to slit your throat and leave you dying. I have absolutely no desire to do that. Now, let's get moving before Delacan's assassins catch our scent again. They'll likely come looking when Haseth doesn't return from his mission. Okay, so that's why this is kind of this middle guy here, Owen, is kind of an unwitting and sort of unwilling member of the party. He just kind of happened alongside, saw this guy banged up, helped him out, and now he's kind of sort of locked into the essentially to the game for a long part of it. So I think we're going to head up north for a while along this main road here. I mean, the game is also fairly well written, which is a thing, um, again, which is a really nice part of it. Again, it was adapted from a series of novels by the Rift War series from Raymond Feist. So now we've made it. I think there should be a signpost here. Where is it? Oh yeah, there it is. Okay. So we've made it to our first settlement. This is the town of Yabon. And again, you can see just for context, we're up here. It's best if we move through this town as quickly as possible. I left a wedding party here not too long ago, and it might raise unpleasant questions if I were seen here again. We may need supplies. There's a shop here called the Crossroads, where we might be able to pick up a few things. Otherwise, we should be cautious. Okay, so you can see, I mean, it's a village, so there's several houses and shops and things. And the cool thing is, they're each kind of different. So Gorath tried the door. The building appears to have been abandoned. They locked up after themselves, he said. Think we should take a shot at opening it up? Yes, let's do that. Okay, so this is like the lockpick sort of interface. You can see we've got a lock. We've got either we can choose to open it via a key or a lockpick. And the key worked, so great. With a pleasant click, the key turned in the metal lock. Oh yeah, thanks, Sting. Let's take a look at what's inside, Locklear said. With the lock successfully picked, Locklear pushed open the door and entered the small building. Looks like this used to be some sort of laundry shop, but apparently it has gone out of business, he said. Let's take a look around. Okay, and we find some armor here. Standard Kingdom armor. Again, this game has great descriptions, really great writing. Just in the interest of moving things along, I'm not going to really read, item descriptions. This is kind of obviously sort of like entry-level armor. We haven't looked at here of our characters and what we can equip. You can see all the sort of swords, armors. They all have percentages with how damaged they are. Funny but accurate recap. There actually wasn't basically all that really happened. Goaty was this guy here in the middle, Owen, saw this guy Locklear sort of banged up. He sort of treated his wounds, and then this guy Gorath was a prisoner of Locklear's. And all of a sudden, an assassin came into their camp, and Gorath killed the assassin. And now Locklear, this knight, has to get this prisoner, Gorath, down to the capital city of Kondor. And now, all of a sudden, because they've been spotted in this kind of like a secret mission, the middle guy, Owen, who's basically a boy, is kind of forced to travel with them because otherwise he sort of might give information away that he sort of spotted them and so forth. So the enemy is kind of on their trail. We don't know a whole lot of detail yet about the the lores and who are the different like major players on a macro level yet. Okay, so we got some much better armor, 78%, so we can switch this out. Later we'll be picking up, oh, and he doesn't even have any armor at all, so we'll switch this over. There is a fair amount of inventory management in this game, at least if you want to play it sort of optimally. Later we're going to be getting, in fact, actually pretty shortly, we should be getting an armorer's hammer that allow you to improve your sort of metalworking technique to actually repair armor, as well as what they call whetstones to make swords sharper. Here you can see these are all of our character skills. So you see, in addition to the standard kind of, what's your defense rating, your accuracy with crossbow, melee, casting, which is of course magic. They have a bunch of other stats here as well. Anything from barding, which is like playing the lute to earn money in pubs, to picking locks as we did. You can haggle or bargain with sort of shopkeepers. There's like stealth and scouting. I mean, there's a whole bunch of really neat things. And you can even uh, click on the ends of these swords to actually choose to sort of emphasize characters like in different skills. So for example, Owen is sort of the resident, magic caster or wizard, or I guess he's not a really wizard, mage. I don't know what the what the game's term for him is, but he's basically the magic caster in the party, so we can choose to have him focus on that. Um, Gorath is kind of the strongest of the party, so he's really good for melee, but he's kind of slow. I mean, they all have sort of different stats, standard fare. Yeah, you can play the lutes at the tavern. Hopefully we'll see that shortly. Okay, so let's go to the next house here. Gorath pointed to the house. I don't know, Owen replied to the unasked question. I know it's not a relative's house. Good enough, Gorath said. Turning on his heels, he marched to the door and knocked lightly as Owen watched the street. After a few moments, a disheveled-looking man answered the door. They talked for a short while and discovered the man had spent the better part of the night trying to break into a laundry shop that had recently gone out of business. The owner closed up shop and never returned the suit of armor I was having cleaned. If you can get it in there, it's all yours. I'm very tired. If you'll excuse me, I'd like to go to sleep now. So obviously if we had clicked on that thing first, we would have gotten the clue to, hey, there might be armor here, but of course we already got the armor, so not much else of note there. Locklear knocked on the door. For a long moment he leaned against the door frame as he waited, positioning himself so he could listen for the sounds of any stirrings inside. When at last it was evident no one was coming, he stepped back with a shrug. Doesn't seem that anybody's about, Locklear said. Okay, so kind of a dead end there. Definitely not a good idea. This is my aunt's house. As much as I would enjoy the opportunity to explain why I'm traveling with a Redhell, I think we should leave. So again, anytime you hear references to Redhell, it's to Gorath here. He's got the sort of, you can kind of see the pointy ears. He's sort of kind of like an elven race. And they're basically the enemies of this kingdom. So he's obviously attracting a lot of attention, as we'll see. Okay, so these brown sort of buildings are actually stores. So a bell rang. No sooner had Locklear managed to get the door open than he found the shopkeeper was escorting him inside. This is the crossroads. Everywhere Locklear looked, polished metal gleamed. As much a temple to war as any temple of Tith, the cramped shop offered a startling variety of weapons and armor. So here we can obviously buy much better weapon. I mean, it's a weapon store, you guys know the deal. We only have, though, 20 silvers and 5 royals, so while we could afford a broadsword, a lot of the stronger weapons are well out of our price range. So for the moment, let's buy that whetstone I mentioned earlier. This will help our, it'll be 2 sovereigns and 6 royals. So you can even haggle. But apparently our haggling skill isn't good enough, so the shopkeeper said, enough, it didn't work. Buy my price or be off with you. So, alright, well, it's a cheap price, so we'll buy it, but it's yours. Okay. This is kind of interesting, I never understood this, but here you can see they say 2 gold, 6 silver. And here it's 17S, 9R, which is 17 sovereigns and 9 royals. But basically it's really the same. It's, 17 gold, 9 royals. I don't know why they have 2 different currency references, but anyway, not a big deal. So let's check out who's the best at weapon craft. This is the skill to sharpen swords. Looks like Locklear's 45. Owen sucks, he's 17, and Gorath is 52, so Gorath is the best one. So we'll give that over to Gorath, and can even sharpen his own sword. And you can see there it went up from 78 to 89, so he's a little bit better with it. And this is the sort of thing, like the more you... Okay, that didn't go up at all. The more you work at it, your skill goes up. Standard kind of grinding. Is there anything else we can afford here? No, we only have 7. Well, we could get a 100% broadsword, but that's not really going to be worth it. So I think we're done for now. Okay, did we go to this one already? No, no one's about on that one. Doesn't seem that anyone's about, he said. Luck's with us. That's right. We're really not supposed to be, if you remember when we entered the village, Owen said we should be cautious and not be seen because he was just here and it's going to raise questions if he's seen around with a guy. So one of the things you can do if you're really like, you can search kind of these more sort of foresty areas, and oftentimes you can find like chests and other items. Um, a lot of times you won't find anything, but they can be really helpful if you do find them. So usually you can do a lot of running around like this. Okay, let's see where we are. Okay, so we just came down from Yabone. Let's go up here. See where this path follows. Now you can see as I'm moving, you can see the sun is kind of going down, so it's getting darker. Um, Something moved. On second thought, let's not sleep here, Locklear whispered, gathering up his pack. I get the uneasy feeling someone may be watching us. Pick up your things as quietly as possible and let's move out. So yeah, that tells us there's basically enemies around. The building creaked in a way that made Locklear nervous. You stay out here, he told Owen. Something doesn't feel right about this place. I'm going in to have a look around. When he returned a minute later, he had a grim look on his face. What did you find? There was an open chest lying on an empty work table. Looked as though it had been rigged with a system of tripwires and flints. The contents were no doubt explosive. Someone's been up to no good, and we best leave before they get back. So, warning sign. So now you can see it's starting to get pretty dark. Oh, I think we found a chest. Okay, this is our first puzzle box, everybody. Rough in its construction and banded with iron, the Moret box would be impossible to open without solving its word lock. And judging by the marks on the face of the chest, others had learned that lesson after much difficulty. Gorath scanned the runes embossed on the Moret clue plate, its text their only hope of opening the difficult word lock. So this is the sort of thing, a lot of these word locks or word puzzles to get the chest open. If you're not a native English speaker, some of them may be difficult, quite frankly, because there are some sort of more flowery or sort of prosaic words. They start out kind of on the easier side, but they do get progressively more difficult. So just kind of bear that in mind. So here's our clue. In all the world, none can compare to this tiny weaver, his deadly cloth so silky and fair. So we've got a 6-letter word, and you can see we can kind of spin this around to try to figure out what the answer to the riddle is. So again, for those, okay, Seldy already gave it away, so it is spider, and I knew that too. But maybe the next one we'll see. We'll try to get chat. For those of you who haven't played the game before, we'll give chat a chance to try to figure out the riddles. It can be a fun little game here. But yep, the answer is spider. Once we get to spider, it opens. The chest thumped. Satisfied the magical locks had released, Locklear tipped open the large wooden lid. Okay, so we get, again, these blue things are money. We got some armor, which is great. I think someone had really crappy armor. This is a shell, which is basically like there are various gems you can pick up, which you can sell for money. This is kind of like the weakest of them all, and then we have more lock picks. Oftentimes when you try to pick a lock and it doesn't work, your lock pick will break, which is why you have multiple. So yeah, we're gonna swap out the 53 for the 18 because it's in much better condition. Okay, so I think we still want to rest. You can pick up torches and other things in the game that allows, and spells that allow you to actually see at night or in the dark, like in a dungeon or something. But for now, we'll rest. You can see not only do we have our health, we also have our rations. So if we just sleep overnight, you can see all of our rations obviously went down by 1. Okay, can we make it through here? Yeah. Okay, let's go back to the main road. Okay, and now we see some enemies up ahead. I forgot which skill it is. It might be stealth or scouting. I think it's stealth. If your stealth rating is higher, that'll help you sort of sneak up on enemies when you see them and kind of have like the first take them by surprise, which gives you the first like turn in combat. They agreed to attack. Going over the plan as quickly as possible, Locklear laid out a simple strategy. We're set then, he said. Let's just hope our advance is undetected or our advantage will be lost. The enemy was not surprised. In fact, they seem eager to accept the challenge and move forward to meet the failed charge. So yeah, we have a lower stealth skill. We gotta grind that up to be more effective with our surprise attacks. Okay, so this is our first look at combat. Now you can see here as I kind of scroll around, it's speed, yeah, okay. So the speed rating corresponds to how far in sort of the combat grid a character can travel. Owen generally tends to be the fastest. He is also, I mean, he's got a staff, he's a magical guy, he's really weak in combat. You generally want to try to keep him away from the actual enemies, so I'm gonna move him over here. Here's Locklear, we can, yeah, for just a simple melee attack, just click on the guy you want to attack. So we took out 13 and 20, it's good. Missed us. So now we can try our first spell. So we have a few different, actually these are not 4 different spells, these are different categories of spells. So you can see as we learn more spells, there'll be more of these sort of icons that'll pop up on these kind of grids. I think the only sort of combat-centric spell we have right now is Despair Thy Eyes, which basically is sort of like a blinding spell almost. It maybe prevents them from seeing for a turn or two, depending on how strong the spell is, of course. Okay, we can try that again on the other guy. Now, in addition, you can see here there's thrusting and swinging. So if you left click, that's a thrust, and you can see it's 68% accurate, which is higher accuracy, you know, a higher hit rate than the swing is, but the damage is less. So it's kind of a strategic thing with the way you want to attack. And as we not only increase our own sort of melee skill, but also level up in terms of, you know, upgrading swords and stuff, that those damage levels will go up, the accuracy levels will go up, obviously. So let's try the swing. You can see he did more of a hacking motion with that one. And we missed both times. Okay. We can just do a rest. We're missing again. Again, you know, with the early combat, it's going to be, you know, hit or miss, most times miss, generally speaking. Yeah, there were a couple of other games in the series that did not, were not like sort of regarded as well. Okay, so we killed our first warrior here. So there was Return to Kondor, there was Betrayal at Antara. I actually haven't played either, so I couldn't really tell you much about them beyond essentially what I just did. You can also like choose to run away, so sometimes obviously if you're getting like massacred, you can do that. This isn't like that interesting just because it's a pretty straightforward match. We're facing the same type of enemy, they're very basic. But a lot of times when you're facing a big group, the terrain is different, and there are a lot more considerations in the play. The moving around is actually like a pretty neat feature. I really enjoyed sort of, you know, I would say in general, the combat here is far less, you know, you're not sort of on, you know, autopilot with just saying, all right, click, 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 you know, kind of thing. I generally find there's a little bit more to it. Those of you who saw me stream Superhero League of Hoboken recently, like I was getting kind of tired of the combat because it was sort of very wearisome. Here, it's a little bit more interesting, I find. Again, these early fights take a long time just because we miss, you know. Okay, now he's trying to run away. He's probably really banged up. He doesn't want to die. So it looks like he's running away. Now let me actually see if we can do this. This is actually going to be a cool spell. Um, we'll probably kill him before it happens, but... Okay, so now you can see here, he's only got a speed of 3. I can't even get up to actually attack him on this turn. So I'm just going to like get in position to approach him, but I can't even attack him on that turn because my whole turn was just spent moving into position. Okay, the thing I wanted to try to do is this invitation spell. Pulls target forward. So a lot of times if you want, like if an enemy is trying to run away and you don't want them to run away, you can actually use the spell to pull them like back towards you, which is kind of cool. And we can also cast it at various levels of power, anywhere from 1 to 10. The higher the power, obviously, the more effective it'll be in pulling, in this case, pulling the target forward. But obviously, the more power, the more sort of health stamina points sort of comes at a cost. There's no sort of magical mana or any sort of system like that in this game. It actually detracts from first the caster's stamina and then their health. See, I pulled him right over toward me. Okay, and we killed him. He was alive. Unsure whether it was skill or luck that had won them the fight, Lacklear set aside his weapon. Though he allowed his dead opponent a wide berth while he checked on Gorath's welfare, he needed no further excitement for the day. Okay, now we're going to check our corpses. Okay, so we just got, these again are the very basic swords, a broadsword and the standard kingdom armor. But the good news is we can sort of swap these out. 75, okay. We have a 72. Now, as you do more combat, your swords and your armor will sort of wear down over time because they kind of get banged up. You can see here we also have some empty crossbow slots because we haven't picked up any crossbows yet. Oh, here we have some torches. Okay. Oh, my voice is out of sync? Oh, that sucks. Okay, let's see again where we are. Okay, so we want to travel this way. Want to continue going east. Now again, a lot of times there are things in this area, so sometimes it's a good idea to generally sort of explore the woods off the road, but it doesn't look like there's anything here. Okay, okay, there is a house here. This driveway, if you will. The face of the door was covered with a pattern, a strange semicircle formed of oily black smudges that joined at the iron door latch. On a closer examination, it seemed that the smudges were actually fingerprints of some kind. I really should have that cleaned, I suppose. Locklear jerked upright at the sound of the gruff voice. Padding from around the house, a balding man stopped next to Owen and held up a palm stained with black ink. The scribe tends to make quite a mess. Occupational hazard. Scribe? Among other things, he said. Currently, I have accepted a commission on behalf of a traveling merchant to do a survey of all the mercantile boxes in the area. He cast a knowing look at Gorath. Perhaps you would be interested in helping. And what would we profit of it? Gorath said quietly. Information, the scribe replied. I've acquired a book I think you'll find very interesting. There's a box just west of Hawk's Hollow on the southern side of a small hill. Find out what's in that box, and I'll give you the book. Now leave me. I have much work to do. So we've just been given our first, essentially a side quest. He's told us there's a box west of Hawk's Hollow, which is a town. Where is that? Oh, here it is. So we're up here, near the town of Yabon, and there's another. So he said west of Hawk's Hollow on the southern side of a small hill. So we got to find something there and then bring it all the way back to him. Hey, how's it going, RGQ? So again, this game, you know, I like it because there's, oh, we found another enemy here. If we sneak up from behind in the woods. Okay, this time it worked. The Red Hell Warrior shouted in surprise. Yes, Dust definitely does what Nintendon't. Charging in, Lacklear tried to estimate what his opponent might try to do and how best to react to each possibility. Though they had gained an advantage by catching them off guard, the outcome of the battle was far from known. Alright, this time we're only facing one guy, so he's obviously going to be easier than the last one. So we're just going to cast that Despair the Eyes blinding spell. Now if I had a crossbow, I could obviously hit him, with a ranged weapon from afar, but I don't, and I can't attack him on this turn. I've just got to get in position with Locklear. Same thing with Gorath. I think there's actually a way to turn on a grid. Is that here? No, it's not. Okay. I'm just going to move him sort of out of the fray. Again, at the start, the characters are so weak, it's a little frustrating just to see how often they do end up missing. But wrong guy. And again, Owen doesn't really have any terribly useful combat spells quite yet, so he's a little useless here in the early going, to be honest. Okay, we killed him. Yeah, I don't know if you can hear it, but sometimes there are like chirping birds and other sign of a little bit of ambient noise, which is kind of nice for the atmosphere. Okay, we got another key. And again, we're gonna see this sword and armor a ton of times. Eventually, it's gonna fill up our inventory. We don't have an armorer's hammer to repair these, to repair the armor yet, though. Ooh, okay, that's a much better sword. I'm gonna check the sound quickly. Why am I not training melee? Usually because I don't even bother with his melee when I've played G-Pudding. I just rely on the spells and that sort of thing. Occasionally you do need to use Owen in melee, especially if one of your other guys dies and you're really low on stamina points and things. So I guess I could do that, but again, I'm not really. I'm playing this more to sort of show off the game and less about really doing this as an actual playthrough. I just want to check the settings here. Okay. Just want to make sure the sound effects were on. Okay, let's just look in this area. Nothing here. Okay, this is a body we didn't. Uh-oh. Locklear noticed a circle of holes. Instinct taking over where common sense had failed him, he shouted for stillness. Don't move! In our daydreaming, we allowed ourselves to wander straight into a trap. So you're going to see these every so often. These are traps that are set for you along the road. Actually, I'm wondering, so I know the solution to usually these traps are kind of essentially like a combat puzzle, I guess would be the best way to put it. You can have a mixture of enemies and sort of obstacles, and you've got to kind of figure out what the best mix of movement plus combat plus spells is, and even item use. So it's really pretty neat. It's like it's like an RPG puzzle basically. I really find these cool. So in this case, these poles, there are 2 red poles here and 2 green ones. If you walk in between them, you actually get electrocuted. Let me see if I can show that off with let's show that off with Locklear just so you can see. So if I try to attack, this is actually another Red Hell warrior, but he's got a yellow cloak, so I think he's a spellcaster. See, I get zapped, 100 death loss, and now Locklear's dead. So now we know we can't travel there. What I can do, though, is travel between red and green, and I don't get zapped. But really, the way to do this, I could go and with Gorath and just kind of wail on him with melee, and then sort of weave my way around to the left of the trap. Ultimately, you want to get to the other side of the trap. But in this case, it's actually more fun if we use our invitation spell that we saw earlier. Where is it? Here it is. So remember, we just saw with Locklear how he died in between these 2 poles. If I cast the spell on this guy, so that invitation, he comes toward me. Boom. So that's the cool thing there. Okay, so now as Gorath, we can essentially just navigate our way out of here, and the trap is cleared. Yeah, it does. It does look like that, doesn't it, Cody? Yeah. A gasp escaped Locklear's lips as he levered himself into an upright position and looked over his wounds. I think I'll amend the plan, Locklear said. My wounds are mortal. You go on without me. No one gets left behind, Owen shot back angrily. Then something else. So right now, well, let's get the body here. Okay, we got a more valuable gem here, a Red Hill brooch, so we'll definitely take that to sell it. And we got a better sword, a Red Hill lamprey. So you can see here, just the stats here. So it adds a lot more with to your strength with swing. So obviously your base damage, but it's less accurate. And then there's also a racial modifier for an elf, so we probably want to try to equip him with that. We're starting to run out of inventory space. I would say to the extent that the game is has a little bit of tedium associated with it, I would say it's mostly with inventory management. That can be, you can actually spend a fair amount of time doing that. Okay, so let's equip him with this better sword. Now we do have these green vials. I think every character has one. These are essentially health restorative, so they can increase your health points. So you saw Locklear was down to 0. Now he's got 2. Now he's got 4, etc. It's probably not the most efficient use of them at this moment, though. Okay, we got everything from him. No, you can't Gwilengu just because there aren't that many traps around. I mean, there are definitely some, but they're more like puzzles. So it's not like. Actually, there is. Yeah, you know what? Let me take that back. I think the scouting skill is about recognizing the traps before you actually enter them. So I think you're actually right about that. Yeah. So if you have a high enough scouting skill, you may be able to sniff out a trap before you wander into it. Okay, it looks like we have some sort of wheat field here. Or corn. The corn was too young. Discarding the ear he had picked, Locklear shrugged his shoulders. Eating this would just make us sick. Let's move on. Okay, so let's move on. Now you can see the sun is setting. Again. Okay, where does this path go? Another house. 300 pounds of madman answered the door. The greasing-looking farmer said to himself, sizing up Locklear in a single glance. Should have known that some kind of stranger had to be responsible. For what? Locklear prompted. Don't play stupid. You've been keeping me up these last 10 nights with those rackets to the west. Locklear shook his head. I'm afraid there's been a mistake. Really, we'll be leaving you alone now. So even these dialogues where nothing really happens, you get a clue that something is going on. There's noise to the west. Yes, that's true, Zenek. We can snap to the road. We can show that in a bit. Right now, Locklear's definitely banged up, so we probably should rest. There's even this option of camp until healed, where it'll just move around. Days will fly by until he gets sort of out of the red, essentially. Yeah, he didn't heal at all there. Just because I think he's like dead, so he's in really bad condition, or near dead at this moment. Okay, there's a bridge up ahead. Is there something over here? Let's see. Generally, I don't snap to the road unless I'm traveling. I'm like retracing my steps. Okay, yeah, there doesn't look like there's anything here. Just because, again, it is a good idea to generally go off-road a lot of the time. Okay, what is this here? It looks like we've got a cemetery, a graveyard. Paul Dudding. No one knew when he came or when he went. Turning to Locklear, Owen said, "Shall we dig up this grave?" I don't think you can drown in the river. So you'll find these graveyards from occasionally in the game, and you can dig up graves and actually find items. A lot of times there aren't actually corpses in there. You'll actually find treasure. But other times you'll actually dig up a mean spirit, and a lot of times there'll be a clue on the gravestone with that if you can kind of read between the lines whether or not the grave contains something valuable, nothing, or an enemy. In this case, it's just a dead body. Um, After a brief discussion with Gorath, Locklear shook his head. I know the Morethill spies are using graves as secret caches, but I'm not too comfortable with the idea of accidentally digging up dead people. Besides, we need a shovel. We'd ruin our swords digging. Yeah, so that's actually true. We do need a shovel as an item to be able to dig up the graves. And even all the shovels have like a set amount of uses. Where's Seldia? Here's Celia de Buellen. Water took her to the deeps. Okay, but again, we can't dig up anything. Here's another chest. Okay, and we just got a little bit of a shell here. So again, once we get to a shop, we can sell those. Okay, I think we should be coming up to the next town. Let's see. Yeah, okay, we're almost by Tirsag. R.I.P. Seldia. Okay, is this it? Yes, this looks like it is it. Okay, let's go to this shop here. Okay, it's a pawn shop. So instead of having armor here, they've got other items. We can buy keys. Here's that loot we were talking about earlier. Hey, Mother Brain! Hodavund. I have to pronounce that properly. Hodavund. Yeah, Mother Brain. Everyone, stay tuned. After Betrayal at Kondor, Mother Brain will be streaming some Atari 2600 games, which I am personally really pumped about. Really excited to see that. Yeah, the game has great music too. I really do like the game's music. Here's a Ring of Prandor. This, I believe, yeah. So this helps you see in the dark, which is helpful, but again, we only have 22 gold, so we can't really afford that. In fact, we're not really going to be able to afford much of anything here. Oh, we can't afford the shovel, though. Let's buy that shovel and dig up some graves. Let's see if we can do that. Actually, can I buy, let's see if we can sell those gems. Most of the time, the gems aren't really useful. Yeah, okay, so we get some money for this. 37 sovereigns, so you can see this one is notably more valuable than these little shells. So now we have 59. Now I think we can afford an armorer's hammer. This will improve our armor. Repair it. Yep, exactly. Yeah, and for those that have played the game before, yeah, definitely please feel free. I'm glad to see you guys are providing more detail, answering questions in chat. That's great. Thank you so much. This Aventurine is like kind of like an oil that if you have a crossbow, it improves that. So I think we should be able to, yeah, repair some armor here. So it's always nice to, every so often, to just see what armor you have and improve upon it. Make sure you have better defense, etc. Okay. Yeah, it's true. And yeah, you can buy back items. Yeah, that's another neat part of it too. Okay, no one's about in this house. A woman was on her way out. I really can't stop to talk, she said, while tying an apron around her waist. My husband Ethan's just taken off on another one of his scavenging trips for the 3 Illmen, and I need to watch the place for him. He's always coming back with heaping armfuls of stuff that people have lost or just dropped places. Come by sometime. In a few minutes, she had hurried out of sight. The 3 Hillmen, so that was just the pawn shop where we just were. So again, that's just, sort of an indication. Oh yeah, you should check that store out, basically. Okay, we have an abandoned place. And we got 6 arrows. We don't have a crossbow, but we have now at least some arrows with which to fire. They entered a cheery common room. As if grown from the floorboards themselves, a middle-aged man appeared on the spot, and he showed them to a table set next to a roaring hearth. Geoffrey, owner of this tavern, he said with a pleasant smile. Might I interest you in some food today? Sure. Splendid, he said. What would you like? So we can buy some rations here and some ale. You can buy ale and brandy and so forth. I think if you drink it before going to sleep, it increases like like your health points more than ordinary rest would, I believe. Just buy some rations and share it with the party. Okay, was that it for Tier Saga? I think that was it. Okay. Um, I think now if we travel, see again where we are. If we travel anywhere north or east of here, we're frankly going to get into pretty dangerous territory, speaking from experience. So we're actually gonna backtrack now and work our way back through Yavone and start working our way down towards Kondor, which again was the is the objective here in chapter 1. So to do that, we don't want to go northeast. We do want to be heading west, though. Yeah, so we want to go back over the bridge. So this is when I'm actually going to keep track to the path. So now I'm just pressing like the up arrow, and you can see I'm automatically keeping to the path. Okay, now we're back at the graveyard and we have the shovel, so we can actually open up some of these graves, see if there's anything there. Baby Irisa, a week she cried before she slept. So I'm gonna say we're not gonna open up a baby's grave. Aglis Sagan, another helping put him 6 feet under. Okay, I'm guessing there's food here. Let's see. Yep, another helping of food. Okay, but here we see poisoned rations. So if you consume these rations, you will be poisoned. So you always, whenever you pick up food from an enemy or like a grave like this, you always got to check to see if they're poisoned. David Booley, buried without a word. An hour passed. Covered with grime and grave mold, Owen distastefully flung back the heavy lid of the coffin to look at its contents. Immediately he retched as a thick ammonia scent billowed up from the coffin's corrupting remains. Just a body, he gagged. So there was nothing there. Okay, here's Seldia's grave. I think maybe this is a... Okay. Oh, that's strange, no body. He levered open the lid of the pine box with the tip of the shovel. When at last it was open, his face contorted with a look that was a mixture of relief and disappointment. No body in that one. Okay, that was the one where we got the poisoned food. Now you can see it's kind of dark, so can't really make out the other graves here. Paul Dudding. No one knew when he came or when he went. Oh, so we got some shoes, some weed walkers. The strange elven footwear was far too dainty to suit his taste. Dyed bright green and trimmed with a thin cord of gold. They were obviously intended as something to be worn within boots or moccasins. Yeah, so this I think it boosts your stealth, I think. Yeah, so right now it's 61. If we take them off, yeah, it's down to 31. So it's actually a pretty significant boost to your stealth, which is great. So that was a pretty good item to find. I don't think you can sell poison food, although I don't know if I've ever tried that. I think there is a point in the game when you can actually use it as part of like essentially a puzzle, and I forget whether you give it to an NPC or something. There's like some NPC who's dangerous. I can't remember exactly, but there is a point in time when you can actually use the poisoned rations in a pretty fun way. Okay, so now we're basically traveling in the dark. So let's rest up. You can see Lackley are still basically dead. We're gonna want to find him a. There are some taverns where you can stay as hotels, and those can increase your curing stats by a lot more. Okay, now we're going back over those dead bodies, those guys we killed. We're just quickly going back the way we came. Okay, this was the yeah, that was the chest making shop. Okay, that's the town of Yavone. So all right, so I think we're back to actually, while we're here, let's sell off all that armor, that excess armor we got. Yes, okay, that was it. Thank you, G-Pudding. Yeah, I was trying to remember in what way you can use it. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Again, it's just one of the neat things about the game is you can use items in different and interesting ways. So generally speaking, if we can repair this armor before selling it, it'll sell for a better price. The standard kingdom armors are a dime a dozen, so they're not very valuable. And they also take up a ton of inventory space, so it's generally good to... At some point, we'll level up to a point where we're not even going to bother picking them up, because they sell for so little and they take up valuable space. But in these early stages, you need all the cash you can get. So, okay, that's already sort of fully repaired. Okay. Slow too. Can we get rid of the swords too? Yeah. Let's do that. Okay, we have 63 gold. Okay, we're still like a far ways away from getting... Now the lamprey we already have, at least one character, but yeah, we're a ways away from getting really much good stuff. Okay, the party's abilities have increased. Alright, yeah, Gorath increased in armor craft. So he repaired enough armors where he went up probably, I don't know, a couple percent. Not sure exactly what it was. Alright, we've already been to Yabon, so let's head southwest here. Okay, that was the camp where we started the game. Let's rest until morning. Okay, here's another chest. Okay, it's another word lock. Feel free, those of you who do not know the answer, please feel free to guess in chat. Prince Arutha from his lofty perch will find our troops without a search. His men will fall, his castle too, and then what will Prince Arutha do? So again, these are chests that are laid out essentially by the enemies. So they're actually talking about our prince in sort of a kind of a disparaging way. Here, I'll cycle through some of the letters here. Okay, but basically the answer here is die. Prince Arutha will die. Okay, we just get some armor and a sword. Okay, so let's head on south. I think I'm gonna, from this point now that we're about an hour in and we got about an hour left to go, I'm going to, you have a general sense of the mechanics, so I'm just gonna try to advance the storyline a little bit more and try to move a little bit faster. Someone was calling. Recognizing the lilt of the young voice, Owen turned and looked back down the road. A young squire that he had met at a party in Yabon was trudging behind them, a pack full of scrolls slung over his shoulder. The squire waved congenially, and Owen echoed the motion. "What do you think you're doing? We're trying to remain unnoticed. Damn," Locklear muttered under his breath. "Try to behave as normally as possible. Since you know him, you handle him, Owen. And remember, Gorath's name is Thorgath." Owen finished, irritated. "I'm not a child, you know," Locklear whispered. "That remains to be seen." "I didn't expect to see you again quite so soon. I would have thought you all the way to Lamut by now." "You're Squire Philip." "Would have been if the Duchess hadn't insisted in introducing me to all of her daughters. Amelia was the prettiest, I believe, though I think Catherine took quite a liking to you." Oh, actually, the dog is at my feet. Let's see if we can get him on stream. He's really quite... this is another dog that we're sort of dog sitting for. This dog's a little crazy, to be honest, so he's not... I was actually happy to get him mostly settled for the stream. Here, why don't you... can you turn around this way, Bo? Okay, you can kind of see him. Maybe he'll turn around at some point. He's a half poodle, half cocker spaniel, actually. Okay. Catherine took a liking to everyone at the party. She's as fickle as her mother. She'll likely marry a Kondor if she can find one not tied to the marital knot. True enough. Say, I thought you said you were from T-Burn. Why are you taking this route home? Kind of a long way around, isn't it? Well, yes, but I had to meet up with my Uncle Locklear here, yeah. And my other friend here is an elf, Thorgath. They decided that it would be nice for me to take a tour with them down to Hawks Hollow. Down to Hawks Hollow. I hear it's lovely at this time of year. What are you up to? I'm looking to cash in a reward, actually. When I was on my way up to Yabon last month, I found a chest in this area, but I couldn't pick the lock on the thing. I figured it wasn't meant to be, and I left off. Thing is, all through the Duchess's party, I couldn't help but think about it. I had chest on the brain. I don't really care what's in it, but I have to pick that lock. Okay, now we can ask about some things here. The nearest town. I'm afraid my senses of direction and distance are a bit off right now. We all had a bit to drink last night, and we're still trying to shake off the effects. Which way is the nearest place we could get cleaned up? It must have been quite a bender if you're that confused. Head straight south along the main road, and that will take you on into Lamut. If you're looking for good food, the Blue Wheel is a solid wager, though I warn you their Surani food can be a bit spicy. Yeah, and we actually do need an inn to heal up Locklear. I, for one, could go with a little less sleeping on the ground. Any good inns that you can recommend? There's the Blue Wheel Inn in Lamut, or you might try the Dusty Dwarf in Hawks Hollow. I suppose if you got really desperate, you could try breaking into one of the abandoned houses out in that part of the country. But I can't sleep well in a house that may fall on top of me. Of course, it may well be that the people have moved out for good reasons. I've heard that several people south of L'Oreal moved out after a contagion began spreading near there. So again, we're learning some information about the neighboring places. Yeah, exactly, Zervo. Empty houses. Was anything left behind in any of the abandoned houses you saw? Nothing of real value. Bits of food and a few cupboards and an occasional gold piece kicked beneath the foundation of the house. Lost items, mainly. The majority of the places I visited had those unpickable locks. What are they called? Weber locks, yes. They had the Weber locks installed, and so I wasn't able to get inside. I'm not certain, but I think I may have mislaid a very valuable belonging of mine. I shouldn't worry about it. Depending on where you lost it, the chances are good it will still be there. Oh, hey, buddy. Come here. All right, goodbye. Okay, so we learned some valuable information, notably that there's a chest around here that might have something valuable. So it's worth our checking out here. By the way, the game does have a neat save feature. You can just click on this bookmark, left click, and it's saved, which is kind of nice. Hey, eat it up. I got this. This is from GOG. You can buy the game. I think it actually comes in a pack with Betrayal at Intara from Good Old Games, so GOG.com. And it's set up in the DOSBox emulator. Very little configuration on your end. You just get a shortcut that you can click on to run it. So, in fact, if you want to set up games yourself, if you're a little bit more tech savvy, you can use the DOSBox emulator to play many old games, many old PC games on your computer. All right, so we found another graveyard here. Klamontala Pechta, touched by flames for honor's sake. Okay, so now we got flaming arrows, which are pretty good. But again, we still don't have a crossbow yet to shoot them. Pargus Atacarper, his fish didn't get away. Okay, just a body in that one. A.R. Cramond, he told a lie and paid the price. Miriam Hasselkapf, to the drawer of nets she took her key. Okay, so we might find a key in here. Nope, just a body. Michel Ambazak, as you are, I once was. As I am, you will be. Yeah, so most of them there's nothing, but Goldie Crow, okay, that might be money. In death, her face was that of a sovereign. Okay, I think this is going to be money. Yep, 13, okay, 13 gold, which gets us up to 76, so that was quite valuable there. Roselle Lamushin, her face was sweet and her hands could heal. Okay, so we got some healing restoratives. It's basically essentially like a health potion. Hayden Miller, a bone did him in. Nothing there but a body. Okay. All right, we already looked at that one. Yeah, we looked at that one. Okay, so we saw basically this guy. I mean, generally I kind of like try to look at everyone. Oh, we stumbled into another combat here. So again, I can't attack him from this distance, so I'm going gonna get in position. Oh, and look, his health is so bad that we're just gonna rest him. Yeah, there's an opportunity where we may be able to hem Owen in on the fray. Again, these early battles are a little bit, you know, you don't have that many spells, you don't have that many items, your skills aren't so high. They're a little bit more run of the mill. Okay, he's running away now. Oh, and Owen with a killing blow. Positional advantage. I think there is when you enter the battle. But I think once in your battle, like whenever you do try to attack, the enemy turns to face you. So I don't think, like they still sort of make their best effort to defend, essentially. Okay. So I think we should be near the city of Lamut. That's actually going to be the first city we're going to be coming across. Although it's nighttime here. Let's see if we can... Is it here? No. Okay, I think it's here. Nope, that's something else. Hold on. Did we pass it? Or is it south of here? Yeah, okay, we passed it. All right, we have to... All right, let's rest. Yeah, we need to move up this ice. So remember I said you can still navigate actually from this view. That's what I'm doing now. Okay. All right, so there's the road we missed. The path turned. Locklear studied the road before them, saw it slithered into the distance like a giant snake before descending, eventually into a large town. Lamut, Owen said. Do you think we should go in for supplies? In many ways, the town looked like something created on an alcoholic binge. Rude dwarven shacks smashed up against delicate elven shops, while weird Serrani taverns grew from a press of kingdom-style dwellings. A sign outside the city gate had summed it up well. All those who visit Lamut are equal, for in Lamut all is equally queer. Now there's actually, I remember here, yeah, there's some money under the bridge, which is fun to take. Let's head to the shop. We got a Fletcher's post. Okay, now we can have our first crossbows. Do we want to buy one? First, let's sell our excess armor. Now, some shops give better prices than others too, especially when you're selling off premier items. It's a good idea to generally take note of which shops offer the best prices for both buying and selling. So you can, obviously, it's good to not to waste money when you don't have to. Okay, can you improve your armor? Yes. Okay, cool. So we could afford a light crossbow. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that. We're starting to see some scrolls. This is a book which can increase certain skills. Yeah, exactly, Willand. Yeah. If I were playing this for real, I would not be buying this crossbow because you can generally find them fairly often among enemies that you kill. But just so I can at least, you know, we can get that element of combat involved, we'll go ahead and buy it. So now he's got it equipped along with some arrows to fire. This is a light crossbow. You can obviously get, you know, heavier and more effective crossbows later. Okay, here's the inn, the Blue Wheel Inn. Remember we talked to Squire Philip. He said they had the best food in town. And here's where we can do some barding. But right now we're pretty terrible. Owen struggled with the lute. As soon as he had begun to play, he felt he was not so much playing a song as he was wrestling a beast 100 times his size. Numerous times the song eluded him, slipped out of his reach, only to fall into an obscure pit of noise. Out, 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 the tavern keeper urged, yanking the lute from Owen's hands. Be glad this crowd isn't in a worse mood. Give them time to calm down, and then you can come back, but only for coming back for food. Yeah, this is a great... I love this game, Gabba. Alright, let's see. Here's a dwarf. Drew on his pipe. Languid smoke plumed from the old codger's mouth as he studied Locklear, Owen, and Gorath, each in turn. Although he had long ago lost the use of his left eye to a Moredhell sword stroke, his right eye still burned brightly beneath his bushy eyebrows. Being as a dwarf ne'er forgets as much as his own name, I canna recognize a strapping young man before me who last I saw was a boy. Double unlock. No slight intended, but I fear I don't recall the occasion. As like the rest of your human kin, none among you can remember much past a week. If not for we canny dwarves, you would have forgotten that you have a kingdom at all. I fetched you out of a cellar along with a scar of womenfolk at the Battle of Sutherland. Don't you remember me, Lucky? Dubal, of course! Glad to see you. I hadn't recognized you without the eye patch. What's a dwarf to do? I won the scratch fair and square, and I'll be a dragon's mother before I'll cover it up again. Shouldn't have done so in the first place. Now I just sit here to jabber with that loon of a Sorani bartender, and I've me a few beers. Not much to do with the Macmordain Cadal all collapsed. A Braknur has been seen down there. They'll be offering a hefty reward for its slaying, I'll might you in tradition holds. Something of a challenge, as they are fierce beasties even by dwarven standards. I've heard tales of these creatures of stone. Thank you, Dubal. Sumani clapped twice. Abruptly, the festive mood of the room died, the clank of goblets and the scrape of plates falling silent as the bartender shuffled between benches to bow at Locklear's feet. Touching an Arl's fist to his forehead, then to his heart, he spoke somberly. Yeah, I know, it's just kind of a butchered thing. Whatever. Be welcome to the Blue Wheel Inn. May you find the drinks to your liking and the company of our patrons pleasurable. If there is anything our servants or I may do, you need only ask Sumani. Ah, honors to your house as well, Sumani. Am I correct in believing this a drinking establishment? So it is. We serve many of your Midkemian drinks, as well as a few from the Suranunani Empire as well. Perhaps I might interest you in a cup of choka. Why did you decide to come to Midkemia and open it in anyway? Surely you would get better business on Kellowan. I was not always a tavern keeper. As a soldier serving House Shinzawai under Earl Kasumi. Oh, I was trapped here when the Rift Gate was collapsed at the end of the Rift War. So now this is, going a little bit into the lore and the source material. It was our belief that we would never again see our families in Suranunani or the green skies of Kellowan again. But Surani warriors traditionally kill themselves if they are in danger of falling captive to an enemy. This is true, Lord, but the Earl informed us that we were forbidden to dispatch ourselves until given leave to do so by a great one. I believe in Midkemia you would call such a one a magician. Until such a time, I content myself with running the Blue Wheel Inn. I've heard that the permanent rift gate to Kellowan is located near here. I was hoping we could get a glimpse of it. There would be little to see at the moment. An internal conflict has arisen in the Empire between House Akoma and House Anasati. The Assembly of Magicians have ordered a temporary interruption of transport between the Empire and the Kingdom of the Isles until such time the conflict is resolved. I have been assured that measure is temporary. You said you were a soldier with the Surani forces. Would you be interested in teaching us some of your combat techniques? It would be my honor, Lord, but I will require a small fee for my services. If my armor were to be damaged, I would be ill prepared to pay for its repair. 75 sovereigns should cover any potential harm. Is this fee acceptable? It is acceptable, but we don't have money for it, so we could say yes, but I wish that I could, but it seems that we are low on funds. That is regrettable. If you were willing to speak to Earl Kasumi up at the garrison, I am certain you could arrange for a wage to be paid you, and then you could come back to me for instruction. I think you would find it worth your while. Armor repair. I don't know how much longer our armor is going to last. Any idea where we could get it repaired? If your armor was the same as mine, I would suggest trying the garrison, but kingdom armor is made in a different way. I would think perhaps the dwarves in the Macmordain Cadal would be of assistance. I understand from speaking to Duval that the small ones are gifted when it comes to the manufacture of weapons and armor. Thank you for your services, Sumani. You have a wonderful establishment. It's very Surani. Your patronage honors us. Goodbye. I promise if I'm ever in Lamont again, I'll be sure to drop in for a bit of something to eat. Okay. I think what we need to do, though, is go to the inn and rest up. So this one charges 5 sovereigns for the night. Whatever, we'll do that. The room was cramped. Shrugging, Owen stepped over snoring bodies and selected a spot of floor which looked like it might be comfortable for the night, while Gorath squeezed into a bed already occupied by 3 disheveled-looking men. Ah, the romance of traveling, Owen said with a chuckle. See you all in the morning. Oh wow, and he only went up 2. I think we need to... You know what, to heal him effectively, I think we need to give him some restoratives, actually. Locklear smiled. Still feeling lightheaded from his well-earned sleep, he waited patiently as the Nightmaster stirred from his office behind the counter. You seem to be in a good mood, the man said, picking up the guest register. Locklear replied only by nodding non-committally, knowing the innkeeper might increase his rates if he seemed too pleased with the service. Seeing as you slept so well, how about another night? The Nightmaster asked. And just to show you how generous I am, I'll keep the same rate, 5 sovereigns per night. What do you say? No. Locklear frowned. Another time, Nightmaster, he said, rapping a knuckle against the counter. A bit of advice, however. You want more customers? I advise dropping your prices. Even the Empress of Kesh would balk at what you're asking. 5 for the night. Okay. So I think, yeah, we wanted to restore him. I double click here. I think we need to sort of get out of the danger zone for rest to really be truly effective. And again, I almost purposely killed him just to show you what the trap would look like. But okay, this is just basically nothing. Let me just see again here. Okay, you know, he's still in the red, so. All right, what else do we have? The garrison was impressive. Still sitting high on a hill overlooking Lamont, the military outpost had been constructed years earlier to head off a possible Morethill assault on the western border of the kingdom. They followed a road that snaked through town and up the rocky hill upon which the garrison sat. After speaking with the sentries at the gate, they were led under the fortress's massive iron portcullis. Captain Belford stood as they entered the room. It's good to see you again, Locklear, he said, extending his hand. I share that sentiment. What news have you? How is Earl Kasumi? Locklear asked as the men shook hands. They sat in hard wooden chairs as Belford replied. He's well, but he's off taking care of some business with a few new guards come through the rift from Kelluan. As for the rest of us, we're looking for a group of gray warriors from Kelluan who slipped through the rift just before it closed. Locklear looked a little puzzled. King Lime and Emperor Ichnidar granted the gray warriors freedom and new status in the kingdom. So there is, I'm sure you've noticed, there's plenty of lore here, and to be honest, a lot of it kind of goes even over my head just because I never did read the book series on which this is based. But as we meet characters in the game, then you start to understand who is essentially relevant and what is more sort of, background, sort of flavor text. Yes, but the agreement doesn't allow for the nationalization of stolen goods. Seems they may have absconded with a valuable ruby from Makala's entourage, said Belford. Makala, the Serani Great One? Owen asked. Belford smiled. Yes, he has been talking to Prince Arutha about establishing a permanent rift to encourage trade between the kingdom and Kelluan. He's really throwing his weight around trying to get his ruby back. If you should happen to come across it, bring it back here. He's offering a reward. They thanked him for his information and left. So we've got another, essentially a side quest where we can return this ruby to the garrison and get our reward for it. Jim's Henson, the storyteller? Nice. Yeah. Okay. Hey, how's it going, Maury? Are these 2 different shops? I think they might be. No, they're both Fletcher's posts. Okay, so that was Lamut. Yeah, there's not another shop here. Okay. So remember the guy who was going to teach us some combat moves said, hey, see the guy in the garrison to get more money? Well, that's if we find the ruby, then we can get money. Oh, and our abilities have increased. Was it barding? Oh no, more weapon craft and armor craft are going up. Okay. Oh, and your weapon craft too. He's near death, 35%. Okay. We also got a quest there too, amongst all the dialogue, about going in the Mac Mordain Kadal, which is essentially a dungeon where there's a monster called the Barak Nur. And so if we kill that monster, we're going to get rewarded in a variety of ways. Because we only have about, what, half an hour, 30, 40 minutes left, I don't think I'm going to really do the quest because well, you know what? Let's go at least go in the dungeon. We'll see maybe like a little bit of it. A sulphurous stench was in the wind. This must be the Mac Mordain Kadal, Locklear said, his eyes glazing as he lost himself in thought. I knew that it was somewhere close. As I recall, Mac is dwarven for mine, or cave, or something like that. Now, considering the dwarves are no friends of the Moredhel, they might be of some assistance to us, assuming they don't take exception to Gorath here. Do we investigate or not? The tunnels were damp, though the silver-seamed earthen roof which stretched over their heads was tall enough that they didn't have to crouch. Locklear felt hemmed in by the shaft. He was privately thankful the dwarves were larger than they were often given credit for in the legends. Okay, so now you can see we're kind of in the dark here. We do have torches, though. So we're going to light up a torch. Pug is the best series, nice. Yeah, that's the other thing, too. As I mentioned at the start, there are 9 chapters in the game. And actually, as you move through the various chapters, you actually get some of the characters sort of shuffle in and out. I don't think you ever have more than 3 characters at a time, but the cast does kind of change. And, you know, characters come, you know, they do return later and other things like that. So you can see we're in this sort of underground place, or cave-like place. Sparks rocketed down the corridor. All right, so this is, yeah, I mean, this is basically another quest. This is what he gives us to kill the monster in the dungeon. So again, just in the interest of time, I'm really going to skip through this dialogue, but remember the guy and the barkeeper at Lamont suggested we might be able to repair their armor. And so you can pay him to have him do that for you as well. He wants 50 sovereigns. And then he gives you a lesson in it and so on and so forth. But I'm just, you know, just in the interest of time, I'm going to kind of skip through some of the dialogues here. But again, the game really is quite well written, so it is still worthwhile when if you play this to actually read through it. You get hints and clues and other things as well. Hey, how's it going, D? Yeah, you do have huge freedom. I would say the game is linear in terms of the overarching objective or quest of the chapter, but there are many side quests that can be done at various times throughout the game. And some of them can be done actually at any time, actually. So that's kind of what I was talking to you about it being sort of, it's linear in sort of a high level sense, but there's quite a bit of freedom within that linearity, if that makes sense. And all of the side quests, most of them can be done at any sort of time. You can see here too that the game nicely maps out for you as you sort of progress. And there are enemies in the dungeon. Maybe we can just do the first enemies and then sort of like we'll leave the dungeon and continue moving south. But let's see, we're coming to an intersection here. Headed north. Okay, this is a ladder, I think. Or is this just a dead end? Oh, it's just a dead end. Okay. Yep, dead end. Okay, let's go south from here. And they do automatically turn once you run into the wall, which is kind of nice, just for navigating. Okay, we made it to a door here. Gorath tried the door. It's locked tight, he said. Think we should take a shot of opening it up? Yes, I do. So again, we can try a key. No good, it doesn't fit. We'll have to try another key or else try to pick it. So we only have one type of key. The pick lock snapped. Cursing, Locklear withdrew all evidence of his failed attempt to pick the lock and threw away the broken thieving tools. So much for that pair of picklocks. The lockmaker knew what he was doing, he said. It's beyond my ability. I can't open it. So yeah, we can either you risk breaking the picklocks or the door is too tough to open for your skill level, which in our case is only 17. Okay, can we find someone with a let's go back to this view. The game also nicely keeps track of what you've explored and what you haven't. I think there should be someone here. Okay, a door off to the right maybe? Yeah, okay, here. I think there's an enemy there. Okay, this is a new enemy we haven't seen yet. But again, we're kind of fighting with really only Gorath. So these, I think, are rogues, I think they're called. Okay, now for the first time though, we do have a crossbow and some arrows. Now again, our accuracy probably sucks. Like you can see, look, the chances that I hit this guy from this distance, which is very short, is only 14%, which pretty much sucks. That's partly though because luckily you're so banged up, but even so, you can see when we shoot, it's, yeah, we're gonna miss. Alright, so let's do the blinding spell on the other guy. Thank you, Steve. Yeah, see, I mean, our health is so low that we're basically useless. See, the good news is, see how the guy's not moving because that blinding spell is basically neutralizing him, which is the good news. Oh, now he's awake, so we need to... Now, you can't cast magic if you're right next to an enemy, so I'm going to sort of move out of the way to cast another spell. Oh boy, okay. I mean, later when you kind of, later on in the game when you level up, these guys would be obviously a joke as far as enemies go. You can basically, kill them, one-hit kill type things. Damn. Yeah, I'm kind of regretting showing you that death of Locklear because now he's kind of useless and he's... Oh, wow, okay, killing strike there. He's kind of making things more difficult for us. Now, the other thing too, oh wow, we hit him, 16% chance. You can actually, with the crossbow too, you can hit your own party. There's such a thing as friendly fire where his accuracy is so bad, he hits the guy next to him, which is your own party member. Okay, let's get out of here just to go to safety. Yeah, but these early battles are a little because you miss so frequently. Okay, there we go, we got a hit in. Let me see if we can actually hit one of our guys. Oh wow, we hit him. I'm really surprised. Let's try a flaming arrow. So these are obviously do more damage, like twice as much damage basically. Oh, and we hit our own character. 24, so that was a major hit. Again, I ordinarily wouldn't have done that, but I just wanted to sort of demonstrate to you the friendly fire technique. Or, not technique, but that can happen. Okay. Okay, and we increased our melee for Gorath. Search the bodies. Got some money. Ooh, okay, we got a better sword for Locklear. And some armor. Okay, more armor and another sword. Okay, this sword is much better condition. Swap that out. Okay. Yeah, exactly, true neutral. Yeah, the reason why I decided to stream the game was just to sort of expose it to those people who didn't really know about it, because um, I hope you've gotten some appreciation for it. I'm really just trying to. It's a very immersive game, so like you really do get a lot out of it. I'm not sure like a casual play for a few hours, you really would get much out of it. It's more, um, you know, you can play this for really months. It's really quite a immersive game when you really sort of dive into it. Okay, and again, I'm just skipping over some of the dialogue just so we can sort of continue on the main quest here. But again, this is kind of one of the smaller dungeons, and you can see this weird effect because we have our torch lit outside. I think I can snuff that. Yeah. Oh, and guess what? It's nighttime. So let me see if he can get some more restoratives. This will make him somewhat more useful. Maybe we can get him to 50. Okay. Okay, now he's healing much better, so he's in much better condition now, which is great. Okay, let's continue going south. So ordinarily, there's a monster, that Braknor in that dungeon, which you can go kill and complete a quest. And so, all right, Gorath stopped and stared off into the distance. After several seconds of contemplation, he turned and began to speak. Look at that tree over there. The lower limbs have all been hacked off. That either means we're near someone's property line or someone was ensuring they had an unobstructed view of the area. If we continue in this direction, we should proceed with great caution. So basically, he's letting us know that I think this is an ambush. I think that's what's about to happen. So we're going to have to try to be on our guard. In fact, yep, I took one step forward and we were being watched and attacked. So the benefit of knowing that's about to come is you can kind of prepare for the combat. If your health is low or you want to repair some weapons or something, it gives you sort of the heads up. Something's about to happen. So these are these standard warriors with the blue capes. The one we saw in the trap before with the yellow cape was essentially the same race, but just sort of a magical caster, a magician. Actually, I don't know why I healed him. I wanted to cast the other thing. Anyway. One of the other things I like too is that things move pretty quickly. You can see it doesn't take that much time between. The game is pretty snappy and going from character to character, which I like. Actually, let's do some combat here. Nice. Okay, so there's one down. The other thing too, I don't know if you've noticed, but the background here is actually the same background or the same terrain as to where we entered the fight. It's not just a stock, 2 or 3. It's like if we ran to this combat on the road, we'd see road here. It's just a nice graphical flourish, which was not really the norm for, 1993. Okay, we got another whetstone. Most of these enemies, again, have the same swords and armor. Okay, these rations are legit, so we can take those. See if we can repair some. And actually, just from an inventory management standpoint, it's good to use the whetstone with the fewer uses first possible. Okay. All right, let's go south. Okay, so we ran into another city here, it looks like, or a village, I should say. Locklear rapped on the tavern door. When it was apparent no one was coming to open up, Locklear shrugged. Well, it would seem the common folk have taken Prince Arutha's loss to heart. Doors only open from midday to midnight, he said with a sigh. But I suppose someone had to ensure the farmers weren't drinking when they should be in the fields. Sometimes he really takes all the fun out of life. So yeah, it's actually we could just get to noon here, midday, and then go back in. So it looks like this is just a tavern where they're just selling food. I don't think we need rations. 5, 9, 1. Actually, you know what? We do. We do need rations. I take that back. Okay. Oh, that's great. Okay, great to hear that, Glengu. And again, one of the things I like about it is that there are different, like, going to a house, you get like a different thing every time, basically. It is kind of cool. It adds sort of to the realism of this sort of, well, I say realism in quotes, but it helps ground it as sort of like a potentially a real sort of medieval community. Yeah, hey, my brothers, this is indeed Betrayal at Kondor. The door swung open. Bleary-eyed and smelling of alcohol, a 40-ish looking man sneered at them. Well, what do you want? He shouted. Out with it. We were hoping you could give us directions. Directions? Directions? The man's eyes blazed as he snared a wine bottle from the floor. I'll give you directions. Before Locklear could react, he felt the impact of the wine bottle against his skull. Hey, KT, how's it going? Oh, awesome. Yeah, it is a great game. It really is. Locklear knocked on the door of the small wooden house and then waited patiently for someone to answer. After several seconds, a woman appeared and ushered them inside. I don't have time to talk unless it's really important, sirs. I have to finish preparing some mushrooms that I picked for the shopkeeper over at Keege's. He nearly ran out of healing restoratives yesterday, and you know what they say. You can kill me, but you can't eat me. That's a strange expression, Owen said. What does it mean? To tell you the truth, I don't know, the woman replied, her face brightening with a wide grin. It was something that the Baron Kevin used to say. Never could make any sense out of it. Now, if you'll excuse me, I really must be running along. Okay, no one's in this one. Sometimes you'll get stock descriptions for stock situations. Oh, so this was the drunk that hit us with the with the wine bottle. Locklear pounded on the door. No one answered. Resigned that the drunk wasn't going to face them down in a fair fight, he shrugged and turned his back. I don't guess he's going to answer it now, he said, touching a tender spot on his head. Let's go on. I actually wondered, did we actually take damage? Yeah, we might have actually gotten a point or two off of damage from getting hit with the bottle. I'm not sure. Nice, KT. Yeah, part of Nintendon't. Okay, so remember the woman mentioned the Keege's herbs? Here's the shop. So in these herb shops, you can buy not only like potions to heal you, the restoratives, which are here. Like I think the tree site tea makes you increases your accuracy in shooting, crossbow, like archery. For a short time, red weed brew might make you stronger. Swordplay. Okay, so it makes your melee better. Then there are other things you can apply to weapons to make them better for a short time, like a bunch of different modifiers, essentially. Oh, this is what we should have been using, an herbal pack. Did we have one? Yeah. Okay, when Locklear was near death, I should have been using that herbal pack. It would have increased the rate in which he healed. I don't really think we have need for it now, but... Oh yeah, from the Relentless Twin Sense Adventure. Yeah, that was bad last night. I think, it's just hard. It's especially hard at first when you don't really know what to expect and it gets bad, but I think I'll be going into it with the next stream with a better attitude or mindset. This is a bowstring, so occasionally when you do use your crossbow, the actual bowstring may snap, and this will give you a replacement. In fact, I think we can equip it, and yeah, it immediately goes back up to like brand new, essentially. So that's a useful item. Okay, where have we been? Where have we not been? All right, that was the drunk. That was the woman and the other thing. Okay, I think we're good here. Which place is this anyway? Zun. Okay, we're in the village of Zun. So I think we just need to make it to this house over here. Oh wait, no, that was the shop. Was that Kiju's Herbs? Yeah, it was. Okay. So I must have I missed one shop, didn't I? Or one house? And we had everything. All right, that's where we picked up the bowstring. Okay, so we're done here. Cool. All right, so I think now we may actually end up being able to do that. We're actually close to Hawk's Hollow. And remember, we got that quest up around the Tirsag area to find something in a chest west of Hawk's Hollow on the south side of a hill. So we're actually in good position to do that side quest now. If we can find the way west, or I'm sorry, east, when you go east. Okay, where am I? Okay, here we're going to a dead end, but I think there may be something here. Let's check it out. Uh-oh, there is something. A pebble tumbled down the cliff face. Puzzled by the seemingly random event, Owen glanced upwards, then back down at the ground. On closer examination, he realized the pebble was in fact a very dull brass button, and once again it's another ambush. Fine, let's go. Okay, we only have about 20 minutes left before Brother Brain is coming up with some great Atari 2600 games, which is just awesome, by the way. I'm sure a lot of you follow a lot of the challenge streamers, including Godi himself, who's doing Mega Drive Challenge. I would love to see someone do an Atari challenge. Obviously, it's a little bit of a different type of beast because a lot of the games are sort of arcadey in the sense that you can only do high scores, but if there was a way to figure out like win conditions so that not every game was 5 minutes long, I think it'd be really awesome to see someone do an Atari 2600 challenge, or even 5200 or 7800 for that matter. That'd be neat. Yeah, and there we go. Thanks, Sting. Yeah, so definitely, if you guys like retro games, which presumably you do if you're watching Nintendon't, definitely make sure to check out a lot of streamers doing a lot of great system challenges, playing all the games for different consoles and things. No one could survive that? Yeah, I mean, again, it would just depend on what the winning conditions would be. I mean, yeah, you couldn't set to be like, oh, the all-time record high score or anything, but... All right, let's just see if we can get through this. How's it going, Silo? Oh, okay. Owen's had like 3 kill hits to date, which is very surprising since he is the weakest melee character. All right, I can't really seem to get around them. See, this is when positioning sometimes does matter. I've kind of boxed out Owen from being able to get an attack in. And you can see the characters are getting better, like in how often they hit them. Okay, I'm just going to leave, again, since we're just short on time, I'm just going to not really care about some of the weapons and swords here. Okay, so it turns out those soldiers were protecting, I think, this chest, where we can find some much needed gold and a magical scroll, which has been titled Flamecast. So this is one of many spells which Owen can learn, but this is the first time we've found one in the game. Again, I'm just going to skip over a lot of the description, but that's going to be our first real sort of combat spell, which hopefully we'll have another combat here soon, which we can finally see sort of an offensive type spell. Okay, let's go back and let's sleep for a bit until morning. Okay. Let's go back here. Okay, I think we are at a crossroads. Now, ordinarily, I would do that Hawk's Hollow. Yep, we are. I would do that Hawk's Hollow thing, but I think there's a little bit more interesting stuff up ahead, so maybe we can see it in the next 10 to 15 minutes, the last of the stream. I guess we have 20 minutes left, a little under 20 minutes. A bird shot into the sky. Searching the landscape for the source of the animal's discomfort, Gorath whispered. I think we might do well to pay attention to that little creature. Whatever startled it may be close at hand. If we continue in the direction we are currently headed, I suggest we do so with great caution. So basically, it sounds like there's going to be another trap here. A Locklear noticed a circle of holes. Instinct taking over where common sense had failed him, he shouted for stillness. Don't move. In our daydreaming, we allowed ourselves to wander straight into a trap. Oh, 29. Yeah, so that's the weird thing about the brain. There is a 10-minute gap, so my stream is, or my part of the stream is scheduled at 1:20, and then, or I guess 20 after the hour, depending on what time zone you're in. And then yours starts at 30, so I think we have that 10-minute buffer window where we can, whenever you're ready, and I guess it's a natural stopping point for me, we can coordinate with when you'll take over. All right, so this is the same trap we saw earlier, except it's actually easier because there's not an enemy here. So really, all we really need to do is walk through here. And then I kind of sort of went out of the game's intended order insofar as we were really intended to see this trap first. And then it gets a little bit tougher when you have an enemy in there. But you only need to navigate one of the players or characters through the trap. Yeah, exactly, Mother. This took some time for them to assemble. I thought perhaps the assassins that had attacked us thus far had followed us through the Inklindel, but there are too many of them, even to chase a renegade like Gorath. Delacan has to be calling on spies already placed within the kingdom. But Delacan sits in Sar-Sardath. Word of my escape could have only have traveled as we have come. The fact that we have been attacked this far south suggests otherwise. I've never been a witness to it, but I've heard of a talent called mind speech. Very few magicians have it, but the ability allows men to communicate over very long distances. Perhaps Delacan might have hired such help. It is entirely possible. Even before I escaped from his fortress, it was rumored that the magicians with whom he has been keeping company had such talents. I know that his assistant Nago claimed to have such powers, though I never saw evidence of such. And if Delacan has the capacity, then undoubtedly he shall use his assistance. So we will have to be cautious and watch out for any who seem like magicians as we head for Kondor. Both of you, keep your eyes open. Okay, and that we shall do. And things kind of... Okay, the pass was empty. It's a 5-day journey if the sign is to be believed, Locklear remarked. It would also be an excellent place to stage an ambush. Think we should take the chance. Let's do it. And then days passed, and we end up... We essentially traveled from just south of Zun down here. But it took 5 days, because it was sort of somewhat mountainous. So even though the 5 days were over in an instant, where that really matters is in terms of our rations. Our rations really did probably get pretty far depleted. He's got 4 left, 8, and 4. Okay, again, there could be chests and other things in these woods, but we've seen those already. So I'm just going to try to really skip through, just so we can probably see. Oh, okay, and we've been ambushed by an enemy here. Again, more of these warriors. You do start seeing, as the game progresses, and you go into different areas, you do start seeing more like monsters and other types of creatures. Now you can see Owen is somewhat trapped here. Let's move him away so we can have him cast a spell. Oh, let's use our flame cast actually. Okay, we have only a 62% chance of hitting him because again our stats are somewhat low here at the beginning of the game. Yep, and we hit Locklear, so friendly fire. Oh, and kind of had sort of collateral damage there too somewhat, but that's the danger sometimes of using those powerful spells is if you don't exactly hit the right guy, you can end up hitting your own player. So that factors into your strategy of where you aim or which enemies you go after and what part of the grid they're on. It matters who's where. So this to spare thy eyes, that doesn't rely on the accuracy. Oh shit! Clicked on the wrong tile there. Nice, okay. Killing blow. Actually, what I should have done, hold on, let me see if I can. I'm going to move away as Locklear just to get a chance to use the crossbow again for fun. Okay, again, I might end up hitting my own guys, but... Okay, his accuracy is a lot better. Yep, and I ended up hitting Owen, 40%. Wow, and 25, not insignificant amount of damage there. Okay. So our melee ability increased for Gorath. Got another bowstring. Got some good rations, which we definitely needed. More money. This potion, Dalatail Milk. Ah, yeah, so it increases your defense for combat. Okay, this goes off. Where does this go off this path? The man who greeted them at the door smelled of fish. "Folks call me Chanty," he said, after Locklear introduced himself. After a few more minutes of friendly conversation, he revealed he was a fisherman, but he hadn't been out on his boat for several days due to his health. As he spoke, he threw dark looks at an unseen thing over Gorath's shoulder. Locklear was about to ask him another question when Chanty suddenly mumbled something angrily and slammed the door closed. No amount of coaxing could convince him to open it again. Interesting. So I think we're going to see a little bit more of maybe why that happened soon. So if you've been sort of paying close attention and keeping track there are like at least 4 or 5, maybe even 6 side quests that have either been mentioned or given to us. Now, this isn't sort of the modern games where you have an interface listing your side quests and check marks with whether they're completed, but there is a whole lot to do in this game. Okay, just an empty house. Okay, but we did find a gravestone here. Warning, the fiend beneath the stone is trapped by dirt, not by death. Stay away. So I think the ground was too hard. Wiping the sweat from his brow, Locklear threw up his hands in frustration. Feels like someone intentionally packed this down. Probably the family was afraid of grave robbers. So I guess we can't open that one up. All right, let's camp for the night. You can see the party is pretty banged up, so resting helps. Yeah, it's great, Mother Brain. It's great writing for the story, for the game. I mean, okay, we got another enemy here. 3 of them, so this is a fairly big battle here. Now, because we don't have any of our allies in the way here, maybe we can cast this a little bit more confidently. Nice. So we can use our crossbow. Nice. Good. Look, and he's got a crossbow too. Damn. Let's see if I can finish this guy off. Damn. Blind him. Okay, I don't want to go after him because I might hit Gorath, so let's shoot after the other archer. Ah, missed. Okay, now, let's see here. Okay, I want to stop him from shooting arrows, so if I actually go up to him, you can't actually, the same way you can't cast magic if you have an enemy adjacent to you, you also can't fire arrows. So I'm just trying to take the crossbow out of his arsenal, essentially. Okay, we finally killed that guy. Okay, let's get Owen out of the way here so he can cast more spells. The nice thing about Owen is he does tend to be like a little bit faster, so sometimes I can keep guys occupied merely by chasing Owen, while my other two characters can actually kill the other characters. Or the other enemies. Okay, good, he's dead. Ah, and Owen died. Wasn't really paying attention too closely about his health. That's due, of course, in part to friendly fire. So I think hopefully if we can get it in here, there's going to be a big fight upcoming, which we're way too underpowered to really do much of anything with. Because again, I've tried to sort of generally breeze through this. So Owen's now basically dead. Okay, we did sort of level up in some things here. Yeah, crossbow and melee, he got better. So the more you do perform a certain activity, obviously, the better you get at it. So he's near death 100, so all of our skills have basically crashed for Owen. And Gorath's defense and melee improved. Pick the bodies. Okay, we'll just quickly take some stuff here. More food. We should be... Oh no, I'm heading the wrong direction. We're going to be moving south and east. Okay. I'm going to try to... Again, I think there are like chests and other things off on the side of the road here, but I just want to see if we can find a certain friend. Okay, that's Questor's View. Again, I'm just going to skip this just from time constraints. Okay, I think we're finally going to see a different... Actually, you know what? Hang on. We probably should heal up. Let's give an herbal pack to Owen, as well as some restoratives. Oh, you know what? The herbal packs might only be for if you're poisoned. I can't remember. Anyway, Owen's pretty much dead, but the rest of the party probably could use to rest anyway. So we can at least, at the very least, get Locklear and Gorath in better shape. Let's camp a whole night there. In fact, there could even be a tavern in Questor's View. I'm not sure. All right, let's go back to these guys. There's a big group. Can I actually skip this? Let's see. Nope. The good news is we are sort of ambushing the party. So you can see this is a new enemy. I think they're called Quegian Pirates, if memory serves. Okay, we missed him. Okay, so the other two guys are archers, but the good news there, we took them out quickly. Let's go after this one. Oh shit. Yeah, again, Owen's basically near death. Actually, I wonder, could I? No, that's gonna cost. Yeah, we can't afford for him to take damage. In fact, his speed is very much compromised too, since he's basically dead, or near dead. Actually, been fairly lucky. Fairly lucky, he hasn't been killed yet in this battle. Okay, kill that one. One more to go, which is this Quegian pirate. Can you just like sort of get out of the way here? Yeah. Can only move one cell at a time now. Come on, guys. Okay, there we got a hit on him finally. And I'm inclined to actually just let him go. That's actually fine. Um, I think they probably have more health than the standard warriors. Not sure. Okay, great. Sounds good, MB. Okay, let me just see if we can find Row. We're probably not going to have time to see the whole sequence play out, but it still is sort of fun to see him. Let's see. Yes, here we go. A farmer was ahead of them, debating for a moment whether it would be more prudent to hide before they were seen or to behave normally. Locklear decided that the man was probably of no immediate threat to them. I hope for your good health that you have found shelter against the coming tempest, good sirs. Tempest? Surely you have heard. The learned monks of Sarth have predicted a terrible storm is coming this way, and I would hate to think of anyone caught out in it. Why, a man could catch his death of the fevers. If you would like, you may ride it out in my barn. And what profit would you turn in this enterprise? 5 golden sovereigns, a reasonable sum, and the guard over my cows. You can sleep in the hayloft of my barn, but my wife and I don't take in elves. 7 gold pieces, the elf stays with us, and we each get a hard roll for breakfast. 10 gold, and the lot of you milk cows the next morning. That's the offer. Take it or leave it. We'll take it. Deal. Where's this barn of yours? Keep heading south. You should pass the Abbey of Ishap at Sarth. You'll know you're right close to it when you pass up the Temple of Sung. From there, it's just around Yellow Mule Mountain. When you find the barn, just go knock on the door and my wife will fix you up. Thank you, farmer. Your hospitality will be remembered. So there's actually something very interesting that happens with this plot thread of having to take shelter in the farmer's barn from the coming storm. We're not going to be able to see it, obviously just due to constraints, but you can at least see that there are a variety of different types of characters and different things that can happen, and you do have a lot of choice with how things play out, which is kind of neat. Can we make it to the temple? Let's just see in the last minute or two here. Okay, that's an abbey. Yeah, maybe we can just quickly make it there. I don't know. Oh, here's someone dead on the road. Poison rations. Sometimes the rations are not only poisoned intentionally, but they can also just be generally spoiled. I mean, they've just been sitting out in the open for a while. Betrayal at Foreign Das. Hey, else. Eiko. They were being watched. Okay, so it's just another battle. Now this guy is a spellcaster though, so he's a lot more potentially dangerous naturally. He's got the gold cloak. So I think we're gonna. Well, you know what? Can we see? We'll just do one last fight, I guess. Now, usually the preferred strategy I like to take with the spellcasters is to get close to them so they can't cast any spells. They're generally far more dangerous casting spells than they are with, doing sword fighting. So that's generally the tactic I like to employ. Oh, is he running away? Okay, Owen's dead. Let's see if we can get up to him. He might just be really fast and moving around so he can cast spells. Yeah, and there are a lot more types of spells and other things that come into play. The game really does get really interesting and elaborate the more you go into it and unlock new things. So anyway, I think we'll call it there because this battle will probably take a few minutes, and you've seen already a bunch of the battles so far, and I think those minutes could be well used with the Mother Brain. So thanks so much, guys, for watching. I hope you enjoyed the Betrayal at Kondor. Again, this is one of the better DOS RPGs around. Again, it really does get really cool. I think it was ahead of its time in a lot of different ways. Once again, I'm HipolitoPichardo, playing DOS adventure games, but was happy to do a little bit of change of pace today with this RPG. My thanks again to Godi for the big Nintendon't marathon. Really exciting to see all of the exciting streamers up ahead on the next few days, and appreciate the opportunity. So thanks again, Godi. Thanks again, everyone. And Mother Brain is coming up next with some Atari 2600. So with that, we'll let you take it away. Thanks, everyone. Cheers for now. Bye.